Hey guys, Lyra Linx here, and I'm back with another chapter of Dance at Dusk, chapter 11, and I'm kind of excited to read. It seems like the two are kind of both acknowledging their feelings, and yeah, so I'm excited to see how it goes. Chapter 11. Somehow, Dawn managed to find Paul through the mess of trees. He was sitting down on a rock and crying. Dawn winced, her chest suddenly as heavy as lead. Her heart was aching. She couldn't stand to see Paul in this condition. This wasn't like him. It wasn't the Paul Shinji she'd grown to love. I I love Paul. I love him. The thought was so overwhelming she didn't think she could move, but she had to. Paul was crying and she had to tell him she remembered. I I remember the time we met, screamed out Dawn. Paul spun around, tears falling from his eyes. He looked at Dawn, who had tears forming in her eyes as well. She was shaking and clutching her chest. And I remember the first time you took me to the park. Neither of them spoke, the flashback hitting them both at once. Paul blushed a bit as he showed Dawn to the park. This is the park my mom brings me to. She thought it would be nice to invite you. Dawn smiled the childish smile he loved. It's so pretty. Thanks for bringing me, Paul. Dawn ran over to a large tree. It was bigger and wider than any of the other trees there. There were initials carved everywhere. What's this, Paul? Asked Dawn, pointing to the tree. Paul walked over and smiled. Mom calls it Lover's Tree. Lots of couples have carved their initials into it. My mom and dad did. Where are their initials? Asked Dawn, looking around the trunk. Paul pointed towards the middle of the tree where there were two initials that seemed larger than the rest. K plus K. K plus K. They both start with K. What are their names? My mom is Kana and my dad is Katsu. Wow, so they fell in love here? Paul nodded. Yeah, Mom says that I'll bring the person I love here someday too. Dawn smiled. I wonder who I'll fall in love with. Both Paul and Dawn snapped back to reality, facing each other. Dawn took in a breath and smiled pathetically. I guess a lot of stuff has changed now. We were friends back then, but we grew apart. Dawn took another breath and wiped a few more tears. Paul stared down at his feet, clenching his fists. Yeah, he agreed. Things have changed. Dawn looked up at him again and walked over to him, stopping about a foot away from him. One thing hasn't changed since then, she said, smiling a bit more. I still love you, Paul. Paul's eyes widened and he took a step back, falling over as he tripped on a stone. Once he fell, he noticed the sky above them. It was pitch black, the middle of the night. We should go home, he said, getting back up and averting eye contact with her, with a quotation that shouldn't be there. But Paul, I said we should go home, he snapped. Reggie's probably about to call the police to find us. Dawn nodded as more tears welled up in her eyes. She too now noticed how late it was. Paul, do you like me too? She asked as she followed him out of the forest. Paul didn't answer, and Dawn dropped the subject, pushing her feelings back. She needed to keep these feelings under lock and key, or else she might lose it. Dawn stopped when she saw Reggie in the clearing. He turned to them, and relief struck him like one of Paul's punches when he was angry. Reggie rushed over to them and hugged them, holding them tight. After holding them for a while, he broke away. What the hell were you doing out here? Paul didn't answer, and instead pushed Reggie and entered the car Reggie had came here in. Come there in, rather, would probably sound better, I don't know. Reggie turned to Dawn. Can I... Oh, it's Dawn speaking. I got so confused. Okay. Can I tell you in the morning? I'm exhausted. Reggie saw the tears in her eyes and wiped them, giving her another hug. All right. You'll need to tell me why you were crying, too. Dawn nodded and hugged Reggie a bit tighter. Thanks, Reggie. You're a pretty good brother. Reggie smiled and led her over to the car. Dawn got in the front seat, not wanting to sit next to Paul, and buckled up. Reggie then drove the two teenagers home, an awkward silence in the atmosphere. The two went to bed immediately when they got home, and so did Reggie. Tomorrow would be another long day. Gosh dang it, I was hoping that this was a chapter where I'd have them admit their feelings. I guess I was wrong. Also, why do I have to come up with Japanese as heck names for Paul's parents? It's not like I'm really using their Japanese names in the story. If it were Hikari and Shinji, I'd understand why I would have his parents be like Kana and Katsu instead of something in English, but whatever, just more of my weebery. Anyway, let me see the chapter 11 reviews to see if anybody else is as upset as I am at my own story about them not getting together yet. Sakura Toko, oh god mio, that exciting. And I am glad. I hope that your fanfic it is done increasingly and more famous. Wish the best of lucks to you. Wait with anxieties for the following chapter. Skitty 13, few more days left until the dance. Can't wait to see how this turns out. EVX me, sniffle sniffle. So sad. Paul, you should be glad that Dawn likes you back, you idiots. LOL. Love Reggie as usual. Red Hood Lover. Ah, kawaii. That was such a cute chapter. Alright, so I guess I'm the only one upset at my own story for Paul being a little bit of a troublesome individual right now, as he calls Dawn. Anyway, that's it for this chapter. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more content, and I really hope to see you in another video. Bye!